This is a Clouds weather alert.
Good Saturday morning, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center. We have now a tornado warning in play for parts of southwestern Georgia. We've been watching this storm for a while. It was in southeast Alabama earlier on. This warning also includes parts of southeast Alabama, but we have the circulation here, a radar confirmed tornado now moving out of Alabama and into Georgia. It appears we had a debris signature a moment ago. I'll check to see if that debris signature is still there, and it looks like it may be starting to fade away, but I'll back this up here. You can see we had a debris signature right when the warning was being issued. I'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit, and then I'll put my mouse on the screen to kind of point this out for you guys there at home. So right there is where it looks like I might have had that tornado touching on down there in southeastern Alabama. The current mode right now here has things a lot more diffuse in terms of that debris signature, and the circulation also seems weaker as well, which would be some good news as this is just about to enter into our viewing area right now here in towards southwestern Georgia. But as we've seen in Mississippi here, saw last night, the crazy, crazy storms there. We can't take any chances. We cannot take any chances here today. We got to stay weather aware because things can tighten back up or develop very quickly. I know the chances are a lot lower here for our area today. But nonetheless, we got to really pay attention as it was a historic event last night. A number of fatalities there in North Mississippi. Still looking at some of those exact numbers. They're still trying to be determined. But a pretty high death toll, sadly, out there toward Mississippi is what we saw last night there as we had this tornadic weather breaking on out there with a complex of acts in there, really talking about just one cluster there coming across the state and causing just so much devastation and heartbreak there. But this storm a lot weaker in terms of just the overall potential that it had at this moment. But we don't want to take any chances here. This looks really weak at this point. It is falling off very quickly here. We've been getting on the air here over the last few moments. Right when the warning was issued, you saw those greens and reds coming together. Even area there of some light blue, as this was just outside of the area there, crossing over State Road 95, Alabama 95. But now as this moves into Georgia, it has really lost completely that structure there of that rotation for now. But nonetheless, we have a tornado warning in play for parts of Early County, Georgia until 10:45. It'll be near the Blakely area around 10:40 according to the Weather Service, and that's in the Eastern Time Zone. Other areas here between the Central and Eastern Time Zone that it could be near include Barber, Pierce, Hilton, Cedar Springs, Salhatchee as well. So I just got to be really careful here in this situation this morning. Again, a tornado was confirmed on the ground a few moments ago by a debris signature that is really broken up quickly. This storm will reach at 30 miles an hour, but you want to go ahead and take those tornado precautions here just in case because you just never know what could happen here. No tornado watch is in play at this point, but a tornado warning is in place. So seek shelter inside that sturdy building. Get as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and protect yourself from flying debris by putting on a bicycle helmet here. As we watch this threat, this potential threat here this morning. I know if you're wondering where Early County is, it's just as we're looking far west there into towards southwestern Georgia. That's kind of giving you guys perspective of where it is within our 62 counties. So we're going to keep watching this. It's now entering into our area. They canceled out Houston County, Alabama, with the tornado warning continuing there for west central Early County with a possible tornado near Columbia there, 11 miles southwest of Blakely. Moving east at 30, they're saying these circulations have a tendency to quickly come back and reappear. So they don't want to take any chances, even though for now it doesn't look like much. You just never know here. Look for debris on this. I don't really see anything at this point. It looks like some inflow there, but don't think that's really debris. But we've some of the areas have spit out toward the west as well. That we're going to have to be watching here throughout the morning, maybe into the afternoon here. And then this overall threat into the afternoon and maybe closer to the evening hours for parts of the region. So again, just going to keep paying attention here very, very carefully here. Again, after what happened as we look out toward the west there last night, just the number of fatalities being reported out there in Mississippi. I mean, we started off with a rolling fork there, and things just really look bad there based on the information I've been able to look at here behind the scenes in toward that area. I know we weren't really served, but because just the overall debris signature there and just the reports we were getting, they were suggestive of something pretty bad. But we wanted to kind of wait until we started to talk about things here in terms of specifics at first light. But it's really, really clear based on this radar, based on just the images there that go ahead. I'll go ahead and put up our EF scale because we had at least an EF4 tornado hit there in toward that area. That's really clear. Obviously, it'll take surveyors there a while to discern exactly the level of EF4 or higher tornado that occurred in toward that region. But it's clear that it was at least an EF4. I'm comfortable in saying that, which is something you never want to be comfortable in saying here. Just devastating damage there in many spots in Mississippi there. I mean, just seeing that EF4 damage in quite a few locations, it appears. So let's go ahead and go back, though. Again, the storm right now, they're monitoring stuff there, the Weather Service in Tallahassee. Again, we came on, it was just that side of the area we got on, but since we had that debris signature in southeast Alabama, it started to really fall apart here. But that could change here pretty quick. It come back, it could cycle back here. They're also monitoring the storm weather services southwest of Dothan now. That actually looks like it's trying to come together there due south of Dothan. Let's see, that could be a little bit of something they're trying to solve. It may just be the inflow too, though. We'll have to keep our eyes on it here. That's in Houston County, Alabama, where this other storm came from, the same county there. But this is the tornado warning storm right now, kind of by itself, which is a cause for concern here. You got to be really careful in this type of environment. Things can kind of switch up on us here pretty quickly here this morning. We just have to keep watching, keep tracking here. Let me go ahead and go on over right now to a broad view because I have our significant tornado parameter pulled up on that. You can probably see numbers aren't near as high as they were last night, but this is definitely sufficient for our area. About an 0.5 on the STP values, and the instability values are over 1,000 joules per kilogram. So we definitely could get a number of warnings if things come together the wrong way, if we get that inflow here into these storms. Sear Cape looks sufficient here for the area. Again, just continuing to watch here. There's your margin of risk, by the way, a little bit clearer side of that. That's in the dark green. So if you're watching maybe from Stark and concerned about a strawberry festival, we're looking pretty good down here for the rest of the morning, the afternoon hours, it seems at this point. But we'll let you know if something changes in terms of any severe weather here in North Central Florida. But that's kind of the storyline right now. I know these temperatures here is warming up so much a factor. And in the visible satellite imagery, that would show us that here. So I'll go ahead and effort that for you guys there. As we look over to other source, you can see there are some breaks in the clouds in southwest Georgia even. And that could be problematic here to kind of get us going with some more instability. But again, nothing like what we had yesterday. But we still have the chance of tornadoes, obviously, like what we had there. A confirmed tornado in Houston County, Alabama, moving into southwestern Georgia. But at this point, we're not seeing that confirmation here any longer. But we still got to watch. We still got to track here. Things can always change. The rotation tracker a lot weaker here. But look at this one south of Dothan. That's really tightening up. That might be our next tornado warned storm here. So we got to be really careful. That could be our next tornado warned storm. You see the circulation. The northerly one was tightened about the same general proximity there in southeast Alabama as we were looking back about an hour ago. That was out of our viewing area, but we kind of were watching that here, and we were on guard as this was starting to move into our area, and then it presented that debris signature. It was not a overwhelming debris signature, but it was a debris signature nonetheless. As you hear those beeps now, they're canceling the tornado warning in Georgia now because the circulation seems to have fallen apart there within Early County, which is some good news. And now I'm going to keep it here though for a little bit just in case that other storm south of Dothan gets a tornado warning. It may or may not include parts of Georgia if that were to get a tornado warning, but it's a situation that we'll have to watch it. Maybe the first one doesn't get one, the second one might if that were to occur. So I know the models are really picking up on stuff late in the morning, especially in the afternoon, in towards some of our counties. And I'll break that down for you in a moment. I just want to keep it here for a little bit. So again, there's your different platforms that we're on. I know that automated Twitter account giving out information there as needed, even for stuff not in our official area, but within the Tallahassee National Weather Service, TWA. So keep that in mind there as well. But again, going back to Ritter, that storm south of Dothan is the one to watch now. It seems like we still got to pay attention to the other two here. But that one there south of Dothan is the one to watch. So looking here at some other information again, continuing to watch our supercell composite values. Those are pretty high, close to 3, favoring some of these supercells. These storms by themselves here, unfortunately, that can be problematic. So you just gotta be really paying attention there. And then let's see what we have right now in terms of the power outages. The power outage map here from poweroutage.us. Really telling a story in Mississippi. Over 13,000 customers in the dark there. Probably more than that. Some of them just aren't being tracked. Almost 19,000, over 18,500 in the dark in Alabama. Tennessee, nearly 34,000 customers in the dark. So a good number. Now that number isn't indicative of the level of damage, because the level of damage and the just the high degree of it in Mississippi is clear. And Tennessee has some wind issues there, knocking out some power, and some damage is substantial in spots. But the worst of the damage by far, and the fatality number there is in Mississippi. So keep that in mind. Again, continuing to watch, continuing to track things here. In the Weather Center this morning. Again, we were on for those tornado emergencies last night. We had that catastrophic damage potential there starting off around Rolling Fork there in Mississippi, going across many areas there, that part of the state, and kind of breaking off there for a while, and then re-emerging as we got there towards some of those areas further up into where that Tupelo television market area per se. Things were just so bad out there. As I kind of go over there right now, in fact, just to give you perspective, you're tracking there on Amory, such a terrible, terrible signature in the Doppler, but we were watching things further back in the state as well. You see, Yazoo City, they had a terrible tornado in 2010, and now it's going to go down in history. We really did circulation last night, developing around Lake Providence, and then as I get on in here, Rolling Fork, Mississippi is where we really started seeing things come together. And that damage there, it looks like a war zone based on the images I've seen so far. We can't show this to you on the air. We're not able to. We're not authorized to show this to you on the air or anything like that. But they're on social media, and they're terrible in terms of what's happened out there toward the Rolling Fork, Mississippi area. So I'm going to go ahead and keep them in our thoughts and prayers as we go back on over again. Right now, no active warnings anymore. We had a tornado warning in Houston County, Alabama. That circulation's weakened. We have another circulation in areas there right now in southeast Alabama, talking about areas in Houston County. We got to pay attention to it. The one in Early County, Georgia, though, has weakened, is what we were alluding to. All three of them, at this point, look on the weaker side. So if these don't tighten up in the next few moments, we'll wrap it up. But I do want to give you a look at our forecast model here in just a moment, so you guys know what to expect. But even outside of any tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings that may get issued here, we're talking about the potential for wind gusts in excess of 40 miles an hour, over 40 a possibility as this axis moves east at 35 miles an hour. So we got to keep that in mind here this morning. We just got to make sure things don't pop back up on us here in this type of situation. Again, this area here is what we came on for. We had that spin there on the Doppler radar. You could see it there more in Alabama, though. And then we had a debris signature pop up out there as well, which is always concerning right there. At about 10:09, we had that debris still on up there on the Doppler there, southwest of Columbia. It's this area right here. I mean, last night we had blues. It pales in comparison to what we saw last night in Mississippi, but still, this is indicative of a weaker confirmed tornado, it seems, in southeast Alabama here in Houston County just a little while ago. But that's gone away for now. Stuff's not co-located. We look for it to spin. We look for the greens and reds to be in the same spot there, and we're not seeing that at this point, so that's the good news. But Just continuing to watch here, seeing if there's any questions from the viewers right now. I don't see any here at this point, but I'll check back on that there if time permits while we're on this live stream. But I'm going to go ahead and get our model guidance ready to say, you guys, since I know you guys have these questions, since we do have this opportunity as we're on right now for a moment. We'll kind of walk you through what things could do here later on today, walk you through what to expect on this Saturday, because things have just kind of developed in the way where we're focusing on a national threat here. We talked about it back on Tuesday, and things just got that extreme level out toward the west here, but now that local threat is a lot lower, but it's something you guys are concerned about here, as it could affect your daily lifestyle here today, tomorrow, some of you. So I'm going to go ahead and show our forecast model here. We're going to start it off at about 11 a.m. So taking the other source now, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Going ahead and putting this on your screen. Again, just monitoring things here. There's your forecast model, super, just so you guys know this is not the current radar. So I will put that over at what it looks like now. That's shear rate. Let's put up our current radar. And it's a general agreement on what's going on. It seems like to initialize pretty much that early stage here anyway in the model guidance. But we'll go ahead and put on the view here expected around noon. You see stuff that looks pretty robust there, maybe toward Miller County, Georgia, give or take a little bit, obviously. You see here, this gets you to about 2 o'clock. This stuff could be strong to severe in South Georgia. This is a marginal risk in play, damaging winds. That threat is there, as I look at that. Our hail threat's there, and then our tornado threat is on the board here as well, as we've alluded to, so keep that in mind. We're going to keep paying attention here. Again, this is 2 o'clock, this is 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock here, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Things at that point should be breaking up some. There's a chance we could have intermittent warnings out from time to time, depending on how the parameters come into play. Some of the other model guidance last night was kind of disagreeing and not really showing the development of this stuff. And it's already developed. It's just a matter of maybe it doesn't hold together as much. We don't get as many warnings here if some other model guidance is right. But this is the one that I generally like to use here. Generally is the best job. And if this actually verifies, I'll probably be with you on and off through much of the day here today through the daytime hours. But hopefully it doesn't verify. But it is a possibility. And this is a direction I would lean into at this point, lean toward. So looking here at 9 o'clock, things should be breaking up at that point. 10 o'clock for sure. And then we have a lull for a while, stuff to the north, but that's generally out of our viewing area, North Equipment County, and some of those other counties like Lee. But you can see this is at 1 a.m. or so, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., a quiet period for everybody to get some sleep here in our area anyway. Getting out to about 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. You see some stuff starting to come back in on Sunday here in toward areas of Alabama and the view here. This is over towards 7 a.m. Just keep that in mind. 8 a.m. you see stuff up toward Macon on Sunday. Again, continuing to watch things here in the Weather Center. These parameters just coming into play. I'll zoom out a little bit even and see just exactly what is this showing us. So it's a pretty nasty picture, maybe a slight risk scenario setting up for parts of central Georgia on that Sunday, and even clip in our area as well. So it could be a little bit higher than today according to the outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. That's 9 a.m. Sunday Eastern Time. Getting out there, this is 11 a.m. Eastern, noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. You see some stuff, scattered stuff in South Georgia. This is 4 o'clock Sunday. 5 o'clock, you see maybe have warnings there again in north southwest Georgia on that Sunday, a possibility based on this guidance. And then looking out there to about 9 o'clock Sunday night, maybe a decaying of the accent for the time being. So it's something to really watch. But I will say here, as I go ahead and kind of just continue to watch things, I'm going to take it off just for a second so we can go back to the beginning. If you're like wondering about the Strawberry Festival, we're in Bradford County, Florida, and the Strawberry Festival is a big thing around here. If you're wondering about the weather for that here today, if you're wondering about that weather here, as I back this on up, just look here toward Bradford County, for instance, and you don't see much on here. I'll kind of line this up a little bit better with the camera view, but as we do this on the fly. But just, I mean, you look here, looking at today, you're not really seeing too much coming to view for a while. I mean, this is out to 4 o'clock, so that's the good news here in Bradford County. You shouldn't really have to worry here too much. We'll keep an eye on it if things could change, but I'm not seeing too much in terms of any rain really developing even here. If we had something to be a scattered shower, but that's for your Saturday, and then on Sunday we're looking into that now, 8 a.m., 9 a.m. We're just going to keep going. You don't see much developing in the afternoon hours either as we continue there on this, looking through the timeline. So that's the good news. 62 counties we cover, and the weather could definitely change here over a short bit here in terms of that distance, and that looks to be the case here this weekend. That threading southwest Georgia and toward Tallahassee, as we've showed you here, and you can see our tornado risk for today. You see that severe the risk going across South Georgia, for instance, today, but again, that really cuts off as we get north central Florida. So that's the storyline there. Again, still checking some things. Let's see what the rotation looks like up here. I know they dropped the tornado warning, so we're just continuing to watch things up out of the west, especially. We're just going to keep paying attention here, trying to avoid having to come back on here real quick on another stream, but we may have to. That's a possibility here. You can see we have areas there of spin, one toward Geneva County, one toward Early. Those are weak in nature. They don't look like too much, but it's one in Houston County now. We see the greens and reds trying to come together. It's not really tight, but it's there, and it could try to produce a tornado pretty quick, a weaker one, and then that would require a tornado warning to be issued there for that area in Houston County, and then it might clip parts of Early County as well. So just give me advance notice there for that area in Houston County in case it develops on us pretty quick. We're watching this area here as it eventually gets off into toward Early County here, so just keep that in mind. I want you guys to know we could have to come on pretty quick for some type of severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag, or a actual tornado warning again, like what we saw there for a short bit from the storm out toward the east there in Early County. So again, just continuing to watch things. You see a little bit of spin there in Early County, again, with the greens and reds, but they don't look all that tight here at this point. And the stuff south of Ashford there, southwest of Ashford, it looks like it's a little bit weaker in terms of those actual colors right now on the color table, but things could change here rapidly. We're going to keep watching things for you here in the Weather Center. I'll check one more time for questions here on YouTube. I don't see anything right now, but just keep it tuned here to Clouds Weather. We'll keep you guys up to date here. It was a long night last night. It's probably going to be a day we're watching. Hopefully it's not something we're on just on for hours and hours, but it may be on and off here through the day with the threat of some severe weather in our local counties. But last night was historic. That death toll there, pretty high number there in the state of Mississippi based on reports there. Just sad, just thoughts and prayers out to everybody. A sobering sight there towards some of those areas there in Mississippi, like of course toward Rolling Fork, toward Silver City, toward those areas further downstream and in between as well. To see a historic tornado scenario is clear. I mean, to me as a meteorologist, we were trying to really kind of stay calm with you guys last night and not just go up on the extreme level of the F scale if we weren't 100% sure. But I'll show it to you. And again, now it's clear we had at least the F4 damage, devastating damage there. That'll be a value to the exact number. I mean, there's always a chance structural engineers maybe are in there and they find something even higher than that, which would be historic because we haven't had an EF5, I mean, about a decade or so in the whole country. So that would be a really big deal. If that were to happen, we'll continue to watch those reports that come out of these different areas in the state of Mississippi, just ravaged out there as tornado emergencies meant business, sadly, as we're now being told they are seeing a circulation reappear on that Early County storm. It's broad for a moment, but they're watching it. This is why I kind of hesitate just going off because of stuff like this. Looking, there are some spotters in the region. We don't have the access to see any of those videos or anything like that, but there are spotters in that region. Looking at our mesoscale discussing there from the Storm Prediction Center that just got sent out. 40% chance of a watch issuance there for parts of South Georgia, they're saying. And I'll kind of read this a little more verbatim per se, but at least isolated severe thunderstorms appear plausible late this morning, going into the afternoon hours. Damaging gusts and perhaps a tornado will be the primary threat for the stronger storms, and the conditions are being monitored for the potential need of a watch here, as the Mosaic radar imagery has shown a steady increase in storm intensities over the past hour or so. As again, I'm reading this verbatim from Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. Multiple updrafts showing 30 dBz cores extending into the 35 to 45,000 foot range, and the intensification of the storms is coinciding there with the increase in diurnal heating across portions of central and southern Georgia, where a southwesterly low-level jet continues to affect low-level moisture, and the expectation is for surface temperatures to heat well into the 70s and the upper 60s to low 70s in the dew points by late morning to early afternoon, and the keep values, some of those there, and some of the different levels per se, exceeding 1,500 joules per kilogram, with the RAP forecast sounding depicting a relatively steep 0 to 1 kilometer lapse rates there, overspread by some other lapse rates there in the low to mid levels. As such there, the efficient downward momentum transport may support a few damaging gusts. And within the past hour there, a transient supercell may have spawned a tornado in Houston County based on a possible debris signature shown in that Fort Rucker dual polometric radar data there. And then why an additional tornado or two remains possible through the day. The current, really just the overall evaluation here with the forecast soundings depict modestly sized, curved, low-level hodograms there with a weakness noted in the 850 to 700 millibar later, driven by the departure there of that low-level jet. And as such there, the tornado threat may be tempered by the decreasing deep layer ascent. Nonetheless, the overall severe threat may be prevalent enough for a watch to be issued. So this mesoscale discussion goes all the way up there to central Georgia pretty far. Just so you know, the outline of where a watch may get issued, 40% chance right now, as tagged up by the Storm Prediction Center, and that could be, I would say at this point, based on the blue on our map, either a tornado watch or a severe thunderstorm watch. Either one of those would be a possibility, probably, if they were to go to that level there of concern, per se, in a more widespread manner there. So, continuing to watch things. I know there's areas of rotation. This is why I kind of stay with you guys. I have a feeling that we, again, may not be done even in the very short term with tornado warnings. As I look at things, that storm in Early County really was tightening up on the scan before this. It just updated it showed a little bit of weakening it again, thankfully. But the scan before was looking like it was starting to get close there to something that we don't want to see. Again, they dropped a tornado warning here pretty quickly because things had fallen apart. But this was a scan here at about 10:39. We had Greenton Ridge coming together this west there. It looks like US 27, but starting to weaken back down again. So it's tricky, folks. This stuff's out of the asphalt. It's there, but it's a little bit on the weaker side. But there's a chance we could always get a debris signature real quick even. That's not off the table here. And then they would have to issue a tornado warning here. So we're watching some different areas here for sure. Scans coming in pretty quick here. You can see this area here is pretty broad there in Early County. This area is pretty broad, but there are some values that they were to tighten up. We'd have to watch there in Houston County, Alabama as well. So you see our new significant weather advisory there. Winds in excess of 40 miles an hour and pea-sized hail possibility as we look over a pretty wide swath here, really. As I go to that normal radar view for you guys, you see how stuff's kind of by itself, but it lets it take advantage of the energy that's available, the parameters that are available. Just really keep in mind that strong thunderstorms will impact portions of southeastern Geneva and Houston counties and southeast Alabama. Also looking there at northern Jackson, northern Holmes, and the panhandle of Florida, Miller, Doherty, central Mitchell, Baker, Calhoun, Early, northern Seminole counties in southwestern Georgia, and southern Worth and south central Georgia through about 11:45 Eastern, 10:45 Central. So a lot of stuff to really watch in that realm there. And again, I feel like, maybe we'll get lucky, but I feel like we're not going to be done with tornado warnings here today. We had the one pop up with a debris signature in Houston County that went away pretty quickly there as it moved into our covered area. But there's just one spin here moving toward US Highway 27. Another spin there, moving toward areas there around US 84, outside of the event area, but that'll move back into the area in a little bit. Latest scan's a little weaker there. These look diffuse enough. I'm going to go ahead and let the coverage go for now, but again, we're going to be kind of on pins and needles per se here in the Weather Center on this Saturday, ready to go if we need to be back with you to protect you, your friends, and your family. But since there's no active warnings here in the coverage area, again, we want to just thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for trusting me. You have Facebook there, Casey Cloud, WX Cloud Weather as well, to watch that live coverage stream when it's available, when it's necessary. At Cloud Casey on Twitter, YouTube at Cloud Weather. Make sure to subscribe there. Show your support. It's free. And then you have Twitch there, Cloud Weather. You have the website cloudweather.com, and you even have cloudweather.com/radar, an interactive radar view when we're not on the air. So a lot of different sources there to stay informed. And again, our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody impacted in Mississippi. That death toll there pretty high based on the reports here. I don't want to pin down an exact number because that's still going to be changing around here on this Saturday. But just think of those folks there around Rolling Fork that were impacted there in western Mississippi. Think of the folks in Silver City. Think of the folks in between. Think of the folks there around Amory, Mississippi as well. We had the tornado emergency later on in the night. We were here for you guys to give you the latest as those tornado emergencies came on out. And we'll be here to cover the latest here as it develops in our local area as well. But for now, thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center.